Hi everyone, this is Carol Ann Speaks, The State of the World on Friday, September 25th, 2020. So, what is it? Well, we know it's not good. The coronavirus, unfortunately, is still with us. As of earlier this evening, we had 7,056,347 people who have passed away from this virus, and we also have 204,500. Oh gosh, sorry. We have. Forget what I just said. As of early this evening, we have 7,056,347 confirmed cases of the coronavirus in the U.S. And we also have 204,598 people who have passed away from this virus. Terrible tragedy, a virus outbreak, a epidemic that was completely mismanaged by our federal government, which is there to protect us. That's why we pay taxes, right? Trump administration has mismanaged it, and they should have called for a national lockdown right away, and they should have ordered everyone to wear a mask when you go in public, and everyone to stay home unless it's essential if they go out, like to go to the drugstore, the grocery store, the doctor, and the government should also have gotten tests to test everybody and trace anyone who tests positive, trace their contacts, and isolate the person, get them well. Any contacts test positive, trace their contacts, isolate positive person, get them well, etc. Government all should have been having a national plan to buy all the personal protective equipment needed and all the hospital equipment needed and all the tests needed and keep track of everything. But that's not happening. The schools around the country, some are opening, some have tried to open, didn't work. Virtual learning is the best way to go until schools can reopen safely. We don't know when that will be. And the schools in the United States, for the most part, do not have the money to open safely. And therefore, we're going to have to provide all students, federal government will provide all students with whatever they need for virtual learning. They'll need computers and other devices. They'll need access to high-speed internet, and then we can go. Then the students can learn. It's not the same as being in a school with a teacher in front of you instead of on a computer and with your classmates. But at least you do learn virtually. You can live. You go to school, you may not live. So we have to do virtual learning, and that's what it should be. Keep in mind, we have to protect our essential workers, our healthcare workers, our first responders, our farm workers, agricultural workers, those living in nursing homes, assisted living homes, retirement homes, and veterans homes. Those who do not have a home, who are homeless, living in shelters or on the street, and we have to protect the Native Americans in the country who live on reservations. Not everybody who lives on a reservation has access to running water and power, electricity. So we had to help all these people. We also have to protect those living in detention centers, jails, and prisons. We have detention centers and prisons that are run by corporations for profit. So how many people do you think they're going to rehabilitate so they can be released because they get paid for each person they keep in prison? And detention centers? Well, it used to be able to come to the United States, present yourself to seek asylum. Now, a lot of people aren't even being allowed into the country. They're told, well, go to another country like Mexico. And they made agreements with Mexico to keep people there while they wait for their asylum hearing. We also have other things to deal with, like police brutality. George Floyd was murdered in Minnesota by a white police officer a few months ago. People are still protesting that. We also have to really need to have criminal justice reform all over the country. And we need to make sure everyone has the health care they need, the housing they need, and the food they need. But so many people are out of work because of the virus that they don't no longer have an income and they're living on savings. And there was some help provided by the federal government in a stimulus bill, but that's run out, and included Paycheck Protection Act, included $1,200 for each person. So those things have run out, bailouts for certain industries, and unfortunately that funding has run out, and the Congress, the House, has passed new legislation with new $3 trillion stimulus to help people, and the Senate refuses to take it up, and the Senate and the House leaders have met together and have not come up with anything. So that's where we are right now. There is legislation was passed to protect people from being evicted from their homes, protect their homes from being foreclosed against, but that stuff is in some cases has lapsed. That needs to be reinforced. I really think we need to provide everyone in the country with a monthly income so that they can provide themselves with housing, food, and health care. And that's what we need until this pandemic is over. That's been proposed in the Congress, in the House, and to be retroactive to March. I hope that eventually becomes in a bill and gets signed. We also need voter protections. We need voting systems that are fair, elections that are fair, and make sure no one faces any threats or intimidation when they go to the polls. Make sure all ballots that are mailed in get counted. And we have a big virus out there now, so you shouldn't try to force people to go to the polls to vote. Mail-in ballot is the way to go, and the post office has to make sure they can deliver all the ballots from election officials to all the voters, and then delivers the voters' returned ballots to the election officials. So anyway, that needs to be done. Post office is under attack by the Republicans, and also Trump put in this guy DeGioia, a hack, to help him destroy the post office. They've been removing those blue collection boxes from street corners. They've been removing sorting machines. They've been doing all kinds of stuff. Now, there have been some federal rules preventing them from doing any more and reversing what they have done. But we're a little over a month from the election, and with people getting mixed signals about voting by mail and the status of the post office. So it's, it's strange, but that's the way it is. So we have to reassure everyone that their vote will be counted. Cities, all kinds of election jurisdictions all over the country have to agree to count all votes, all ballots that are received, whatever the date is, because we don't know with the postal system being in such a flux when the ballots will actually get back to the election officials' offices. So we have to you should reassure people your vote will count. Please do vote. And we have to fix the election system in this country, that you're automatically registered to vote once you turn 18, wherever you are, like they did the Selective Service for the draft. And I think eventually we're going to have voting on the internet, if they figure a way to make it secure, so you don't have to worry about voting in person and getting the virus. And you don't have to worry about mailing your ballot in and worry about if it's going to get there and be counted. So that's something to think of. Now, that being said, the schools should stay closed till it's safe to be reopened. We have to conquer this virus. There are vaccines being worked on, but the thing is, you have to wear that mask. The virus is not going to. The vaccine is not going to protect you from the virus. We don't even know what vaccine we're going to have. The only protection we have is wearing a mask, and that's what people should be doing. And our leaders should be modeling good behavior by wearing a mask and practicing social distancing. But Trump is having these huge rallies with lots of people close together. Of course, he's not with them. He's off on a stage somewhere, so he's protected. But his supporters are not. So I wonder what they think about that. He's like the Pied Piper. So what else can we do? Well, the virus is really a first priority. Once the virus is controlled, and then business will return to normal. But it's going to take a while. You have to wear that mask whether you want to or not. Okay? Now, we've had other issues that have come up that are in the news about the ICE, the Immigration Customs Enforcement, and performing sterilization procedures on female asylum seekers, because they put asylum seekers in detention now, detention places. And back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, California was performing sterilization procedures on immigrant women with, who were from Latin America, because they didn't want to pay for their children to raise their children. So and so that's they did do that. So we really have to have good policies for everybody. As far as immigration, people come here seeking a better life, and our country is supporting dictators all over the world because they think they can get access to the resources of the country that the dictator controls. So, it's not just Latin America, it's in Africa, it's in Asia, it's in the Middle East, in parts of Europe, parts of Eastern Europe. So it's not a good situation. No one wants to leave their home and become a refugee and not have a place to live, but people are forced to do that. During World War II, people were fleeing the German and Italian and Spanish militaries who were, turning their respective countries of Germany, Italy, and Spain into dictatorships, very brutal places. And these leaders were also attacking other countries for more power. So people were on the move throughout Europe during World War II. And when World War II was ended, a lot of people in refugee camps and resettlement camps. And Europe was a mess. There was a lot of destruction. In Asia, the same thing. Japan was on warpath throughout Asia. Brutal treatment of everybody. And now we have leaders in Asia who are dictators themselves, leaders in Latin America who are dictators, leaders in Europe who are dictators. And right here in the U.S., we have our dictator-in-chief, Donald Trump, and his administration. The country Israel was created by the UN in 1948 to have a homeland for the Jewish people who had suffered terribly during World War II by genocide by the Germans. So, but then Israel so the Jewish people went to Israel, but there are a lot of people living in Israel, so who are not Jewish. So anyway, what happened was that Israel ended up being a country that was really, the leaders only thought of it as a country for Jewish people, Jewish refugees, not for the Arabs and who were living there. So they did not provide equal rights for those people. And various countries like the United States, Canada, Western Europe, they're big supporters of Israel, and they have large Jewish populations. So politically, it's wise for the leaders in those countries to be strong supporters of Israel. And they ignore the bad things that Israel does, and then the people who are being treated harshly, the Arabs, no one's listening to them. They're starting to listen now because they are protesting and they're creating groups to get a better life for themselves, more freedom. But it's going to take time, and I don't know what the outcome will be. The solution I think that would work would be for Israel to be one country of all the peoples who are there, and not just be strictly Jewish country. So if they get everybody is welcome there, and everybody has equal rights, then the majority of the people would not be Jewish, they'd be Arab. And the Arabs can be Muslim or Christian, Palestinians can be Muslim or Christian. But basically the Palestinians, they would like to get their homes back that they lost when Israel was created. So anyway, I think the solution is to have one country and let them work together. It'll take a while for them to all get along and get used to the idea, but I don't know what else you can do. But we can try that, but unfortunately we have people, powerful people in like the United States who don't want that. They don't care about the non-Jewish population of Israel. And so there are occupied territories now, the West Bank, and Gaza is not occupied, but they're surrounded by the sea and the land of Israel, and they can't go anywhere. They don't really have an exit. So things have to change. The world is a mess, and unfortunately, people who are forced to leave their homes and their countries and become refugees, and then they go someplace else where they're welcome and they do well, then they tend to treat other people who are now refugees poorly. They forget about where they came from, what their experience was. So that's really something we have to work on. It's going to take a while. So that's something to think about. Think. Now, I think maybe it's time for a little song. Okay, let's do a little song. Alright. I like to sing this song called World of Our Own, which was written by Tom Springfield, who is part of a folk trio called the Springfields. It's a short song. Here we go. Close the door, light the lights. We're staying home tonight, far away from the bustle and the bright city lights. Let them all fade away. Just leave us alone, and we'll live in a world of our own. We'll build a world of our own that no one else can share. All our troubles will leave far behind us there, and I know we will find such peace of mind when we live in a world of our own. Okay, that was World of Our Own. Hope you liked it. Thanks for listening. Thank you for tuning in this evening. Friday, September 25th, 2020, for a meeting of Caroline Speaks the State of the World. Hope you'll come back again tomorrow evening. Remember to take care of yourself and take care of others. And remember, kindness goes a long way. Kindness goes a very long way. So stay safe, practice social distancing, only go out when you have to, and wear that mask. Thank you. Good night.